They say the person who cares the least has the most power in a relationship. I never believed that. I thought power came from love, from sacrifice, from building a life together, brick by brick, for 10 years. I was wrong. My name is Mark. I'm 34 years old, and 3 months ago, I destroyed my wife's life. I didn't use violence. I didn't scream. I didn't even raise my voice. I did it with a signature, a smile, and a silence so loud it eventually shattered everything she thought she owned. If you're listening to this and you think you know your partner, check your iCloud settings. You might be surprised by what synchronizes when you aren't looking. This is how I got my revenge. And honestly, I'd do it again.
Let's rewind a bit. Sarah and I met in college. We were the golden couple. You know the type. Posted happy anniversary photos on Instagram, hosted the 4th of July barbecues, finished each other's sentences. I worked in logistics. Boring, high stress, good money. Sarah was in marketing. She was vibrant, the life of the party. I was the rock, the stable one. For the last 2 years, things had been quiet. Not bad, just quiet. We were busy. I was pulling 60-hour weeks trying to secure a VP position so we could afford the renovation she wanted for the master bath. She was working late on a new campaign launch. I trusted her implicitly. Why wouldn't I? She was my best friend. We had plans. We were talking about trying for a baby next fall. The discovery happened on a Tuesday. It's always a Tuesday, isn't it? Nothing exciting ever happens on a Tuesday, until your world ends.
I came home early. Migraine, the kind that splits your vision in two. I took some meds and lay down in the guest room because it was darker. Sarah's old iPad was on the nightstand. She hadn't used it in months, usually just for reading recipes. I picked it up, intending to put on some white noise from Spotify, but the screen lit up with a notification. iMessage, 2:14 p.m. He's so boring, Dave. I feel alive when I'm with you. Did you book the hotel for the conference? My headache vanished, instantaneously replaced by a cold drop in my stomach. You know that feeling when you miss a step on the stairs? That. I unlocked it. The passcode was still her birthday. It wasn't just a text. It was a library. 6 months. 6 months of messages, photos, voice notes. Dave wasn't a stranger. Dave was her client. The guy I had shaken hands with at the Christmas party. The guy who joked about how lucky I was. I read everything. I sat in the dark guest room for 4 hours and read every single word. They mocked me. They made fun of the way I chewed. They laughed about how I was paying for her car while she drove it to meet him. They planned their future, waiting until I got my bonus to file for divorce so she could take half. She wrote, "Just wait until the renovation is done. It'll add $50,000 to the house value. Then we cash out." My first instinct was to print the screenshots, tape them to the front door, and burn her clothes on the lawn. I wanted to scream until my throat bled. But then I saw that message again. Wait until the bonus. Wait until the renovation. She was treating me like a bank account, a resource to be mined before being discarded. If I confronted her now, she'd cry, she'd blame me, she'd say I was distant. Then she'd lawyer up, and because we live in a no-fault state, she'd likely get exactly what she wanted: half my savings, the house, and the narrative that I was the bad guy for not fighting for us. No. I put the iPad back exactly where it was. I wiped my fingerprints off the screen. I went back to the master bedroom, crawled into bed, and pretended to be asleep. When she came home an hour later, smelling of a shower that wasn't ours, she kissed my forehead and said, "Poor baby, hope your head feels better." I didn't flinch. That was the moment Mark the husband died, and Mark the architect was born. The next morning, I initiated Operation Gray Rock. In psychology, being a gray rock means becoming so uninteresting that a narcissist loses interest in you. But I tweaked it. I became the perfect, boring, supportive husband. I cooked, I cleaned, I asked about her day, but I stopped initiating intimacy. I blamed it on stress at work, on the migraine medication. She was relieved. It gave her more time to text Dave. While she was distracted, I hired a forensic accountant and a shark of a divorce lawyer named Helen. Helen was expensive, and she was worth every penny. "Don't leave the house," Helen told me. "Don't let her know you know. We need to secure your assets. We need to separate your finances legally before the filing." Here's the thing about Sarah. She was greedy, but she wasn't detailed-oriented. She handled the vision of our finances. I handled the execution. I started moving money, small amounts at first. Then I told her we needed to restructure our investments for tax purposes. I created a separate holding company for my consulting work, something I'd been meaning to do for years. I asked her to sign a post-nuptial amendment to protect her from any liability if my business failed. "It's risky, babe," I told her over dinner, looking her dead in the eye. "If the market crashes, I don't want them coming after your marketing agency assets. This document says my debt is mine and yours is yours, but my assets are mine too." She didn't read the second part. She just heard, "Protect my money." She signed it without even sending it to a lawyer. She was too busy texting Dave under the table.
Month 2 was the hardest, watching her lie to my face every day. She'd say she was going to yoga. I knew she was at Dave's apartment. I had a PI follow her for 3 days just to get the photos. High resolution, time-stamped, undeniable. But the cherry on top was the renovation. Remember, she wanted to wait until the bathroom was done to leave me. So I pushed for it. "Let's do it," I said. "Let's get the Italian marble. Let's get the heated floors. You deserve it, Sarah." Her eyes lit up. She thought she had won. She thought she was milking the cow one last time before the slaughter. Here's the catch. I told her that because my credit was tied up in the new business structure, the one she signed off on, the loan for the renovation had to be in her name. "I'll pay the monthly installments," I promised, "but the loan needs to originate with you to get the best rate." She hesitated, but her greed won. She took out a $60,000 personal loan for the renovation. Construction started. Walls were torn down. Our bathroom was a disaster zone of dust and exposed pipes. It was unusable. That was my timeline.
The timeline was specifically chosen to coincide with her marketing retreat in Napa Valley, 3 days away.
obviously with Dave. I helped her pack. I kissed her goodbye. I told her to have a wonderful time. As soon as her Uber turned the corner, I didn't go to work. I had a moving crew on standby, not for the furniture. I didn't want the furniture. I wanted my life back. I packed my clothes, my electronics, my documents, and the dog. Yes, I took Buster. He liked me better anyway. I cleared out my home office. I took the sentimental items. I left the furniture, the appliances, and the wedding photos. Then, I went to the kitchen table. I laid out 3 envelopes. Envelope 1, the divorce papers citing adultery with the PI's photos attached as Exhibit A. Envelope 2, a copy of the postnup she signed, highlighting the clause that separated our debts, specifically the $60,000 loan she just took out. Envelope 3, a printout of the text message where she called me boring. Next to the envelopes, I left her iPad, fully charged, unlocked, open to their conversation. I blocked her number. I blocked Dave's number. I blocked her parents. I got in my car, drove 3 towns over, to a new apartment I'd leased under my LLC's name, and I ordered a pizza.
I didn't see the explosion, but I heard the shockwaves. According to mutual friends, who I later cut off, she came home on Sunday night, hungover and happy, expecting to find her boring husband and a house in progress. Instead, she found a half-demolished bathroom, no husband, no dog, and a mountain of evidence. She tried to call, straight to voicemail. She tried to come to my work. I had already informed security that my estranged wife might appear and cause a scene. They escorted her out. It was humiliating for her professional image. Then came the financial reality check. Since I had moved out and filed, I wasn't paying the renovation loan. That was in her name. The contractor threatened to put a lien on the house if he wasn't paid. She couldn't live in the house because the only bathroom was a construction site. She had to move into a hotel. And Dave? Let's talk about Dave. I didn't forget him. I sent a very polite package to Dave's wife, just a manila envelope with the chat logs. Dave didn't get a promotion. Dave got a divorce and was fired for using company funds for the client dinners that were actually dates with my wife.
It's been 3 months. The divorce isn't final yet, but Helen says it's a slam dunk. The postnup held up in mediation. Sarah is drowning in debt. She had to sell the house at a loss because nobody wants to buy a place with a gutted master bathroom in a cooling market. She tried to reach out once, through email. She wrote a 3-page letter about how confused she was, how she lost her way, and how we could fix this. I didn't reply. I just forwarded it to her lawyer. People ask me if I'm angry, if I'm bitter. I'm really not. The anger burned out during those 3 months of silence. Now, I just feel light. I lost a wife who didn't love me. I kept my retirement. I kept my dignity. And I kept the dog. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't screaming, or fighting, or slashing tires. Sometimes, the best revenge is simply removing yourself from the equation and watching them realize
that you were the only thing holding their life together. She wanted excitement. She wanted drama. She wanted a life without boring old Mark. Well, Sarah, congratulations. You got exactly what you wanted.
Wow, that was intense. I think the silence was definitely louder than words in this one. What do you guys think? Did Mark go too far with the renovation loan trap, or was it perfect justice? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories of betrayal and revenge. See you in the next one.